children, Grannie Garstleigh here. I've come to tell you a story, and today it's going to be about the Gingerbread Golem. So settle down and lend me your ears. There was once a little old man who lived all alone in a tumble-down cottage on the outskirts of the village. He was so old that no one remembered his name. No one even remembered what he used to be before he was a little old man. But there were rumours of magic doings. Sometimes coloured smoke could be seen drifting from his chimney and out across the fields. Sometimes there were mysterious bangs and crashes, and on stormy nights the roof of the little house was often awash in a sea of flickering blue flames. "Witch fire," the neighbours whispered, and avoided the house. Now, one day, when the little old man was wondering what to have for his tea, he decided to bake a gingerbread man. He'd read that you could make a gingerbread man that talked. Well, he liked that idea. Somewhere inside it would surely have memories of all the good things that went into making its dough. He could ask it to tell him about the exotic lands from which his ingredients came. So while the oven was heating, the little old man put all the ingredients into a big blue china bowl and stirred it all up with a big wooden spoon that was stained purple from making blackberry jam and magic potions. He set the dough on a marble slab and rolled it out. Then he cut it into the shape of a little man. Well, more of a little boy, come to think of it. He added 2 raisins for the eyes, a shred of marmalade peel for the mouth, and a row of almonds down the front for buttons. After all, you can't have a naked gingerbread man sitting around the kitchen, and everybody knows, even the smallest of children who are just beginning to draw, that buttons are the first and most essential item of clothing. When the oven was quite hot and the little old man was quite satisfied with his work, he popped the gingerbread boy in to cook. Now I know what you're thinking. Next thing, he hears tapping from inside the oven, or when he opens the oven door, Johnny Cake jumps out and runs away. Well, no, not this time. When the gingerbread boy was done to a turn, the little old man took it out of the oven and put it on a rack to cool while he made some icing. Then, with a piping bag, he wrote a word in strange letters on its forehead, starting on the right and working towards the left. As he piped, he slowly said the word out loud. What he said was Emmet, which means life. Well, as soon as he'd finished the last letter, the little raisin eyes blinked, the little gingerbread feet began to twitch, and the almond buttons began to rise and fall. Then the little gingerbread boy sat up, saw the little old man, and put out his little arms. The little raisin eyes blinked again, and a little voice said, "Daddy!" The little old man chuckled, and picking up the gingerbread boy, he sat him gently on a tea plate. And the little gingerbread boy began to tell tales of growing high and strong and sweet under the hot sun in a Jamaican sugar plantation, of digging fiery roots deep into the good earth in China and making big pink ginger flowers. He smiled with his little marmalade shred mouth. The little old man poured himself a cup of tea. And the little gingerbread boy told of the wind weaving its way through the branches of the cinnamon trees in Sri Lanka, and of monkeys chattering in the clove trees of Sumatra. His little raisin eyes sparkled at the memories. The little old man sipped his tea with satisfaction. And the little gingerbread boy described the sound of rain on the leaves of nutmeg trees in the Moluccas. He talked of orange groves in California, almond orchards in Andalusia, and grapevines in Corinth. The little old man poured himself another cup, and the little gingerbread boy told of the way the field mice tickled the corn stalks as they climbed, and the rumbling of the huge combine harvesters come to reap, thresh, and winnow the wheat in August. The little old man drained his cup, and the little gingerbread boy told of a black and white Frisian cow and her calf in the meadow near the village, up to their knees in buttercups and daisies. He stood up and waved his little hands as he conjured up images of all the ingredients that had gone into making him. When he'd finished, the little gingerbread boy folded his hands and sat down smiling. The little almond buttons on his little gingerbread chest gently rose and fell. The little old man studied the tea leaves at the bottom of his cup, cleared his throat, and said, "Lovely, very interesting, most informative. But after all, I did make you for my tea." Then he picked up the little gingerbread boy by the shoulder, and turning him upside down, he bit off one of his little feet. "No, Daddy, no!" screamed the little gingerbread boy, and he wriggled free from the little old man's grasp and dropped to the floor. The little old man scraped back his chair. The little gingerbread boy backed away, his hands raised in front of his little raisin eyes. Then he turned and ran as fast as he could go on his one good gingerbread foot and the other crumbling gingerbread stump. He was out of the door and hobbling through the long grass and away before the little old man could get up and follow him. Once he was out of earshot of the angry little old man's voice demanding that he come back so he could have his tea, the little gingerbread boy threw himself down on the ground and cried as if his heart would break. He felt so small and frightened. He felt abandoned and betrayed. By and by, an ant popped out of a hole and, seeing the crumbs from the gingerbread boy's stump, tried to pick one up and carry it off. "No!" cried the gingerbread boy. You shan't eat me. It's I who shall eat you." And the little gingerbread boy ate the ant. He felt a little better, and he grew a little. He wiped his eyes, got up, and hobbled on his way on his one good gingerbread foot and the other gingerbread stump, out into the big, wide world. The next thing the little gingerbread boy met was a green beetle. The beetle waved its antennae at him and scuttled up to the crumbly stump. It was about to taste a crumb when the little gingerbread boy grabbed it. "No!" he cried. "You shan't eat me. It's I who shall eat you." And he gobbled up the beetle. He felt even better, and he grew a bit more. Now, the next thing the little gingerbread boy met was a harvestman stalking along on its long legs like a Martian. The harvestman stopped and bent to look at the crumbs falling from the gingerbread boy's stump. It opened its mandibles and was about to take a bite when the gingerbread boy snatched it up. "No, "No," he cried, "you shan't eat me. It's I who shall eat you." And he stuffed the harvestman into his mouth, long legs and all, and he munched and crunched until it was all gone. He felt much better, and he grew quite a bit more. He hobbled on his way on his one good gingerbread foot and the other gingerbread stump. Now a sparrow had been watching from the hedge and flew out to see what the pickings were. When he spotted the crumbs trickling from the little gingerbread boy's stump, he picked at it with his beak. The gingerbread boy snatched up the sparrow by the wings. The sparrow struggled, but the gingerbread boy held it fast and cried, "No, you shan't eat me. It's I who shall eat you." And he thrust it head first into his marmalade peel mouth. He felt far better now, and he'd grown quite a bit. Then he hobbled on his way on his one good gingerbread foot and the other gingerbread stump. He felt far better now, and he'd grown quite a bit. And he hobbled on his way on his one good gingerbread foot and the other gingerbread stump. Now this went on for the rest of the afternoon, with the gingerbread boy eating everything that crossed his path. By the time he got to the meadow at the edge of the village, he'd eaten a mouse, a rabbit, a goat, a pig and a cow. Each time he felt better and better, and each time he grew and he grew. At the farm, he trampled over the cow shed where the farmer's wife was milking the cows. At the sound of her screams and the desperate mooing of the trapped cows, the farmer came running up with a pitchfork. He ran at the gingerbread man, who stooped down and swung the farmer up in front of his big raisin eyes. He was big and strong now, and he was no longer afraid of being eaten. He opened his orange peel mouth, and he said,
"Run, run as fast as you can. You can't get away from the gingerbread man. You can rush, you can race, you can duck, you can dive. Still I'll snatch you and catch you and eat you alive. I'll guzzle and grow till I'm touching the sky. Mighty, man-eating gingerbread golem am I."
And that, I'm afraid to say, is exactly what he'd become. He scoffed down the farmer in one gulp and headed up towards the village, swinging his long gingerbread arms, his big raisin eyes beginning to glow like embers. The clock in the church tower was striking 7 when the gingerbread man came lumbering into the village street. He was already higher than the houses. When the village children saw him coming at first, they ran up and tried to break off bits of gingerbread, but they soon turned and fled when the gingerbread man picked up one of the naughtiest boys and held him high in the air. One of the boy's boots fell off. Then a huge voice boomed out from the twisted marmalade peel mouth.
"Run, run as fast as you can. You can't get away from the gingerbread man. You can rush, you can race, you can duck, you can dive. Still I'll snatch you and catch you and eat you alive. I'll guzzle and grow till I'm touching the sky. Mighty, man-eating gingerbread golem am I."
Then he shoved the struggling boy into his mouth, spat out the second boot, and ate him up, every bit. Then he licked his marmalade peel lips. The gingerbread golem was feeling much, much better. He'd grown so tall that his head was almost touching the clouds. The blacksmith came out of the forge with a shotgun. He aimed it at the gingerbread golem and blasted a hole right through his chest. But the golem just swayed once or twice, righted himself, and closed his big gingerbread fist around the blacksmith. His deafening voice cried out over the sound of women screaming and dogs barking.
Run, run as fast as you can. You can't get away from the gingerbread man. You can rush, you can race, you can duck, you can dive. Still I'll snatch you and catch you and eat you alive. I'll guzzle and grow till I'm touching the sky. Mighty man-eating gingerbread golem am I.
He popped the blacksmith into his mouth, swallowed him whole, and hobbled on up the street on his one good gingerbread foot and his other gingerbread stump, scooping up men and women, grannies and granddads and little kiddies left and right by the dozen, and knocking over the street lights that had just been lit. Flames licked at the wooden houses and people were running in all directions to get away. The light from the fire illuminated the strange word written like a sugary sabre scar across the golem's forehead. Emmet. Life. Meanwhile, the little old man was out in his garden watering the radishes and wondering if it might rain, when he saw the light of the flames reflected against the underside of an approaching storm cloud. He hopped on his bicycle and rode up to the village. The vicar was standing on the porch of the church, shepherding people inside. He spotted the little old man and rushed over.
"I can't do anything with my popery and prayers," he shouted. "Can't you do something? All that magic smoke and lightning and what lot at your place has to be good for something."
The storm was gathering above the church. Lightning started to play around the bellies of the clouds. The gingerbread golem was almost upon the two men. The vicar ran inside the church and bolted the door. The little old man was alone in the square. He looked up at the gingerbread golem. Its face was peering down at him, the raisin eyes raging within a fire. It bent down towards him, raised an eyebrow, and leered. The little old man reached into his robe and took out a metal rod. He pointed it at the biggest, blackest, heaviest cloud which was hovering above the steeple. A thin stream of light shot from the end of the rod and connected with the cloud. There was a tremendous crash of thunder. Suddenly, rain started to fall. It poured from the clouds onto the golem's head and down over its forehead. The icing began to melt. The E at the beginning of Emmet started to wash away. The golem opened its great big marmalade peel gob and said one more word before the light went out of its eyes. The life-giving word the little old man had iced on to the little gingerbread boy's forehead now read Met, which means death. Then the golem toppled over, right on top of the little old man, squashing him flat, which I think, frankly, served him right.